Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, Create Business Apps Instantly with OpenSApp. My name is Damien. I am responsible for the customer support at OpenSApp. Today with me is Bastian. He will provide you with all the basic information about OpenSApp as well as guide you through the process of turning a list into a mobile application. I'm glad that you joined us today. The webinar today is about basics. You get familiar with the app creator and the app client. After a quick presentation, we will move forward to creating a list app together. As you think of questions, you can always post them at the bottom of the GoToWebinar panel in the questions section. We will do our very best to answer as many questions as possible at the end of the sessions. So, hope everyone's ready. Bastian, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thanks, and welcome everybody. My name is Bastian, and I'm very happy to be able to give you a little tour of our application today. I'm going to start off by giving you a brief introduction to OpenSApp with a few PowerPoint slides, and then we're actually going to create our first app together. And today it's going to be a pretty cool list app with lots of interesting features. Okay, let's dive right in. Well, at OpenSApp we think that one of the biggest challenges today is mobility. And that probably is the reason why so many of you are listening right now, because everybody seems to be talking about mobile business. But the reality is that dedicated business apps are still very rare. And the reason for that is that building apps today, as you all know, probably, still is very expensive and also very time-consuming. Basically, only developers and power users who know their way around development tools can actually do it themselves. And this is where OpenSApp comes in. OpenSApp is a cloud service and helps you very quickly create and instantly share business apps. And these apps can be created directly from your existing data. That means you can leave your Excel spreadsheet that you've been using for years maybe on your server, in your SharePoint, wherever you keep your data, and you'll have a native app that runs on iOS, Android, and Windows within minutes. And soon you'll also be able to run it in your browser, by the way, but we'll announce that in the coming weeks. We think that creating business apps from business data should be as easy as creating a PDF file. And we actually have the solution for that. And to prove that to you, I'm going to transform an Excel into an app in a minute. But let me just say a few words about how that works first without getting too technical. So basically, we extract the logic from the file, like formulas, like functions, like format. And we can do something that no one else can do. We can actually handle calculated data and even recalculations of it. So in short, you can build your spreadsheet as always and then just specify the input fields and output fields, your variables that you're interested in, to our app creator, and then the app creator does the rest for you. And if the spreadsheet ever changes, the app changes as well automatically. All right, but enough with the theory for now. Let's actually build something right now. What I'm going to do is first I'll show you the original spreadsheet, and then we'll go through the entire creation process, and finally we'll take a look at the finished app. And the whole process will take just a few minutes, I think. So let me just switch to the website here. All right. So this is our landing page, opensapp.net, and you get to the app creator by clicking on the orange button there. Now, the app creation starts with you picking your data source. And this could be almost anything, a file on your PC, locally, a file on your server, or one in the cloud of your choice, like Google Sheets or SharePoint. And for this demonstration, I will use one of our sample files in our company Dropbox over here. And the file that's going to be the basis of our app is a list of fictitious sales representatives. This one over here. Also, if later on you would like some more example files to build your first apps yourself, you'll find quite a few more here in this section. All right, so I'll click on View, and we'll take a closer look at the list itself so you know what to expect from the app later. All right, so here we have the usual columns of a contact list, like names, phone numbers, addresses. But let me scroll a little bit to the left here. There are also some KPIs in there, as you can see, and also sales figures, and geodata, like latitude and longitude. And additionally, at the very end of the row, there are links. And you will see in a minute what these are. This is actually pretty cool. Now, all this data will be displayed and used in the app. And note that the employees are from different countries and are members of different groups. So this will become very interesting later on. All right, so let's start building the app now. In order to do that, I'll click on Use here. Now, in this very first step, we are now asked to confirm that this is actually the spreadsheet we would like to work with. Now, what the server did was just quickly analyze the sheet, and it shows us a representation of the sheet in the browser now. And all we have to do here is to choose the tab that we want to start the creation process with. Now, in this case, I'm probably not going to start with the second tab, but with the first tab. So I click on that, and then I click on OK. And the wizard now immediately analyzes the structure and the data of the file in order to be able to recommend the right template in the next step. And as you might expect, because of the name and the address columns we just looked at, the wizard correctly suggests we use a template called contact list over here. And because of the geodata contained in the sheet that you just saw, we could also build a map application that displays all the rows in our file as pins on a map, like these two. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go with the contact list template. Now, this is where the actual design of the app begins. On the right side, we have the preview of the app, this one here. And every one of those little boxes on the left side represents one of the columns of the original spreadsheet. Now, taking a closer look at both the left side and the preview, you'll notice that the order of the columns has changed. And that's because the system knows that we want to build a contact list app. It correctly assumes that the columns that we are most interested in this case are the first and the last name and the pictures of the people in the list. And that's what the links in the Excel were, by the way. Those were links to photos on the server. Now, every list application consists of two parts, the list view and the detail dialog. Now, the list view is what you see right now in the preview. That's basically a short summary of the most important facts from your table, and we optimized it for use on mobile devices, and I think it gives a much better overview than Excel itself. It can be customized by rearranging the gray boxes on the left side. And the detail dialog opens up when the user clicks on one of the rows in the app, and it gives you all the details that you need from this data set. The detail dialog is what you can customize with the boxes on the right here. Now, we can change the order of the displayed columns by drag and drop. Like, I'll take an example, and let's say I want to move this column a little further to the left, then I'll just drag and drop it here. And then we can hide a visible column by simply clicking on it. Let's say I don't want the distance column, for example. I'll click on it. And then it's one of these here that are not visible anymore. And let's say I want the ID, I want to be able to see the ID column, then I just click on it, and then it's visible. Now, you might have noticed the little icons here in the boxes. Those are data types. The wizard already recognized some of them, like email and phone number here. But you can also set those manually, of course. And these add a lot of functionality to the fields and make the app much more interactive later on. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So we could basically click on one and then change the data type here. All right, but let's say we're happy with the setup, and we can go to the next step. And by the way, please don't forget that you can always come back to this later and make changes. So you can always try things out, and there is no need to be perfect at this stage. This is basically just like version 1.0, and you can always change stuff. Now, in this step, the preview actually is more than just a preview. When you hover over the elements of your app, you'll notice these little symbols pop up. And by clicking on the pencil, you can customize this element, in this case the list that we just added. And now the editor of that list element opens up, and we can make a lot of changes here. What we just saw we can change. And then when I click here on the style section, we can change just about everything about the appearance of the app. And then if you know your way around XML, you can actually, here in the advanced section, work with the code and actually change the XML code of that section. Okay, so let's say you have made some changes here and you're happy with them, then you can confirm them by clicking on the little check mark here. And here in the change theme section, we have another possibility to change the appearance of the app. Just by one click you can choose a theme. So that way every single app that your department or your company produces will look the same with just one click, you know, in line with your corporate identity colors and everything. Okay, so let's say we're done here, and I'll say OK. And now all that's left to do is to choose a name for your app up here and input a description for the people you want to share the app with, but that's optional. And now let me just bring up my mobile phone. So as you can see here on my phone, I already have the OpenSApp host app installed. I'll show you real quick. That's the host app. And I'll just open it up again. Yeah, it's a little slow right now. Hope you can see this. Yeah, okay, it works. And now I'll simply click on the Create My App button here on the web page. All right, and there it is. So this is, I don't know, this was created in like 10 seconds or something like that. This is the app we just built. And if I hadn't explained every single step along the way, I think the whole process wouldn't have taken longer than a minute or two. So it's really, really quick. Now, if you are a new user of OpenSApp, two things might happen at this point. Before the app is actually created, you will be prompted to create an account for yourself or log in if you already have one. And you'll have to do that before you try out your first app. But it's free and shouldn't be a problem at all. And also, you will have to install the OpenSApp host app on your device. So this one. Of course, since all the apps that you will be creating from now on will run inside that host app, you'll need that. But that shouldn't be a problem either. It's available in all app stores and is free of charge and free of advertising. So just go ahead and install it. But that's it. After those two steps, you're good to go. Now, this host app, by the way, is a great way to run your apps because this way they can actually be rolled out within seconds. Whenever your data or the logic changes, and that might be the case on a daily basis, or you make changes to the user interface of your app, you don't have to wait for Apple or anybody else to authorize your app for, I don't know, a couple of days or something like that. You just publish it. And that's it. Your changes will be in effect immediately. But let's take a look at the new app now. You probably recognize the data from the original spreadsheet, but keep in mind, no matter how cool this looks now, this used to be a simple Excel file. And this is so much better for the use on the road. The links have become pictures now, and the most important information is displayed in the list. And that way I get a good overview of the data on my mobile device. Now, the detail dialog opens up with a click and gives me all the data available. And this is one example where we are much better than Excel because we can actually take advantage of phone functionality. Like this phone number, for instance, used to be just a number in the spreadsheet, and now I can click on it and make a call. And emails work the same way. And because there was geodata in the original list, I also get the exact location of this person or this entry in the list on a map. And it's interactive, and I can zoom in and zoom out. Also, when you click on the second tab below, you get all the list entries displayed in one big map. And of course, when we take a look at the list again, we can also search, as you would expect. When we search for somebody, whoop, there you go. And we can, of course, order columns alphabetically, in this case, the last name. And we can, if you click on the menu on the right upper corner, we can hide and view different columns. You choose columns. You can pick the columns that you want to see in your list, and you can group by the visible columns. And you can also, if you want to, drop a comment for your colleagues that you share the app with. In this case, I haven't written anything yet, but you can write a comment, and that can be read by everybody else in the context of this app. And now there's one very special feature that I would like to show you. We are very proud of that, and that's the dynamic dashboard. You can see it up here. The dynamic dashboard automatically visualizes the data in your list without ever inserting a single chart yourself. So it displays distributions, as you can see here. Let me see. Yeah, like that one, for example. Like how many of our employees work in a given country. And it also recognizes relationships between columns. So, for example, let me see. Here at the bottom, for example, it offers us an overview of last year's sales by country. So those are two columns, and it recognizes the relationship between those two. And you can even click on elements. Let me do that. And then on the button. And then the list is filtered by that criteria. So this is an amazingly useful feature. Now, you've probably already asked yourself by now, the users of the app can view the data, but can they actually make changes as well? You know, maybe to collect data on the road that should then be reflected in the original spreadsheet and be, you know, available for everybody else. And the answer is yes. You can allow changes if you want to. This is completely up to the administrator. Users can alter data or even add new data from their smartphone. So there is not only communication from server to client, but optionally also from client to server. Now, if you like an app, like this one maybe, you can add it to your favorites. And that will have the effect that this app is always displayed alongside the other apps that you use on a regular basis. Now, if you click here on the left side and then here on the burger menu, on the top corner, you can search for apps on the left side. And there are some demo hubs. If you check out this demo hub here, those are a number of examples of the many different kinds of apps you can build with OpenSApp. There are very sophisticated dashboards, there are map applications, calculations, lists like you just saw, and complex combinations of all these app types. We will explain to you how to build these in later webinars, and you are, of course, very welcome to join us for those as well. Okay, so now I'd like to say a few more words about OpenSApp in general, and I'll switch back to my slides real quick. All right, so you've seen that you can create a mobile app with just a few clicks. And as mentioned, this app runs natively on iOS, Android, Windows, and very soon also in your browser. Updates of the underlying spreadsheet, you know, in your Dropbox or wherever, will be reflected in the app instantly, so you will never have to deal with old versions of Excel files again, and going through email attachment becomes a thing of the past because there's now only one version of the truth on your server. And finally, the dynamic dashboard that I showed you provides an instant overview of your data. And that's something that can be very helpful with big data sets. But so far, I've only talked about Excel as the data source for apps. But the most exciting part about OpenSApp is that the app generation can be integrated into existing systems and processes. That way you can update your app and immediately receive the most current data directly from your SAP, Salesforce, SharePoint, or whatever system you're using. In this case, for example, we implemented a button in Microsoft Dynamics CRM that lets the user instantly create an app within a few seconds and automatically. The app can then even be updated later on, and that way is the perfect mobile front end for this system. These are just a few of our examples. Our service is brand new, but we closely work together with a number of big companies like insurances, car manufacturers, logistics companies, an airline, consulting firms, and tax companies. And we have learned quite a lot about their needs so far. And it's all about easy rollout, reporting, and security. And that's basically what we are good at. So here's another example, a finance report based on Excel. We simply converted the reporting from Excel into an app. So now the board gets its reporting as an always up-to-date app. But we're not just about the display of data like other tools. We also enable real-time calculations like best case, worst case scenario simulations. And many of the big companies we're working with are looking for exactly that kind of functionality. Now, with us, you can also build very rich dashboards. In this case, for use case in production. This app is also based on calculations, which means you can change the variables and everything else changes accordingly. And at the end of your simulation, for example, you can even save your simulation settings to the cloud. Okay, so now let me sum up the main arguments for OpenSApp again for you. Apps can now be created directly by the department that needs the apps. If you have an event coming up, for example, and you decide in a meeting in the morning that you would like to have an app for all participants, then you'll have that app rolled out by lunchtime that same day. As mentioned, OpenSApp runs on all devices, iOS, Android, Windows, and soon your browser. And because of it being a real native app, the usability is great and the app even works offline. Instead of mailing around complex Excel reports that are way too complicated, that can be broken or are out of date every week, just share an app once that displays exactly and only what is interesting to the recipient. And this app will, from then on, always be up to date, and the sharing is not an issue anymore because your colleagues already have the app on their iPhones or tablets or computers. And once you've done that, you won't have to worry about who is able to see what anymore. The user of the app only sees what he or she is supposed to see, nothing else. Even the logic behind the numbers is hidden, so you could actually roll out your Excel sheets to your customers now. And the app does not display any of the data irrelevant or forbidden for a specific user. And additionally, your apps can be made expirable, which means that they cannot be used anymore after a certain amount of time. And you're in full control of that too.
Feel free to check out the sample files on our website and use them for some training with the app creation. And if you need any help, don't hesitate to use the help button in the down left right corner to search for articles in our knowledge base or just to leave us a message. Now I would say we wish you a lot of fun with the app creation and have a good time. Bye.